Close your eyes and imagine a quiet European farmhouse waking to the thrum of distant tanks. A border that has quietly become everyone's front line. Europe hasn't felt this tense since the Cold War. Military convoys rumble east, radar stations blink through the night, and borders once drawn in ink now bristle with steel. The United States has deployed its seasoned 2nd Cavalry Regiment to Poland, while Warsaw itself races to assemble the continent's largest and most powerful army. But beneath this wave of rearmament lies a haunting question. Is this truly a step toward peace, or the spark of something much darker? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. We bring you the untold stories behind history's greatest turning points. For decades after the Cold War, Europe disarmed. From 1989 to 2014, defense budgets sank year after year as leaders grew comfortable in peace. The world believed the era of full-scale wars on European soil was over. But in 2014, that illusion shattered when Russian troops seized Crimea. Moscow's move sent shockwaves through every capital on the continent. Suddenly, Europe realized the post-Cold War order had ended. The message was clear. Peace could no longer be taken for granted. By early 2022, tension had turned to fear. Russia's invasion of Ukraine reignited old ghosts and forced Europe into a rapid, reluctant militarization. The war wasn't just at NATO's doorstep, it was pounding on it. Poland, sitting at the crossroads of East and West, felt the threat most directly. With borders touching Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia, the country found itself in the eye of the storm. Warsaw responded swiftly. In 2024 alone, Poland poured $38 billion into defense, an unprecedented surge that placed it among Europe's top military spenders. Public support for the build-up was overwhelming, and to understand why, we must look back into Poland's troubled past. During the Cold War, Poland wasn't free. It stood behind the Iron Curtain, chained to Moscow's will. The Soviet Union imposed a communist regime that suffocated the nation's spirit. Central planning ruled the economy. Shortages became normal. Even bread and butter turned into luxury items. For decades, Poland existed as a Soviet buffer zone, a pawn in someone else's game. But by 1989, everything changed. That year became Poland's rebirth. The Solidarity movement, led by Lech Wałęsa, gave voice to workers and citizens who had grown tired of Soviet control. The Round Table talks paved the way for the first semi-free elections in Eastern Europe. When the results came in, the opposition swept nearly every seat it could contest, breaking Moscow's grip. The dominoes began to fall, and soon after, the Berlin Wall came crashing down. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, Poland turned its eyes westward. It joined NATO in 1999 and later became a proud member of the European Union. Over the next 2 decades, the country transformed from a struggling communist state into one of Europe's fastest-growing economies. Between 1989 and 2018, Poland's GDP soared by over 800%, becoming a model of resilience and reform. But new geopolitical realities began to stir unease once again. In 2008, Russia invaded Georgia. Belarus remained under Moscow's influence. Ukraine's political turmoil deepened. The line between East and West was hardening again, and Poland was right on that line. Still, it wasn't until 2021 that things took a dramatic turn. Protests erupted in Belarus over a rigged election. The government's violent crackdown sent shockwaves across the region. Then, a shocking incident occurred. A commercial flight from Athens to Vilnius was forced down by Belarusian fighter jets. leading to the arrest of an opposition activist on board. Europe was outraged. Sanctions hit Minsk, and Belarus retaliated by pushing thousands of Middle Eastern migrants toward the Polish border. What had once been a quiet frontier turned into a flashpoint of hybrid warfare. Warsaw deployed 15,000 troops and border guards to seal off crossings. Barbed wire, concrete barriers, and military vehicles appeared across the eastern line. This was not just about migration, it was about sovereignty. It was about showing Moscow and Minsk that Poland would not be intimidated. But the threats kept multiplying. To Poland's north lies Kaliningrad, a small but heavily armed Russian enclave packed with tanks, missiles, and the Baltic Fleet. Military analysts warn that in the event of a conflict, Kaliningrad could serve as Russia's launchpad for a strike that cuts off NATO's Baltic states from the rest of Europe. For Poland, that would mean an instant transformation from a border nation to a frontline battlefield. This looming danger explains Poland's new military doctrine. The government plans to expand its army from 120,000 to 300,000 troops, with ambitions reaching 500,000. For a country of 36 million people, that's a staggering figure. To make it happen, Warsaw has reintroduced mandatory military training for men and opened voluntary service for women. The model mirrors Finland's, a nation that built a 1 million-strong reserve force through decades of preparedness. By 2026, every adult Polish man will be trained to defend the homeland. Meanwhile, Poland is fortifying its entire eastern frontier. Fences, minefields, anti-tank barriers, and concrete bunkers now stretch along its borders with Belarus, Ukraine, Lithuania, and Russia. It's one of the largest peacetime defense projects in modern European history. Warsaw is also investing heavily in new technology, acquiring American Abrams tanks, South Korean K-2, Black Panthers, F-35 stealth fighters, and long-range missile systems. These are not symbolic moves. They are a message. Poland is preparing for the worst. The United States has taken notice. In 2022, Washington established a permanent garrison of 10,000 US troops in Poznań, only 300 kilometers from the Russian border. American armor now stands watch on Polish soil, a visible deterrent and a reassurance that NATO will not abandon its eastern flank. But with every tank deployed and every missile installed, another question grows louder. Is this build-up an act of protection or provocation? Many Poles believe it's necessary. 3 out of 4 citizens support increased defense spending, even if it means higher taxes or cuts in social programs. For them, the scars of occupation and the lessons of history run too deep to ignore. They've seen what happens when Europe lets its guard down. And so, in a continent once committed to peace, the drums of preparation beat louder each day. Poland's rapid militarization isn't just about fear, it's about leadership. In a few short years, the nation has evolved from a defensive outpost into a strategic powerhouse. Its economy is strong, its industry booming, and its alliances firm. It's not only securing its own borders, but shaping the entire defense posture of Europe's east. Yet, as Poland builds walls, trenches, and armies, the world watches with mixed feelings. To some, it's a symbol of courage, a nation standing ready in the face of aggression. To others, it's a dangerous game of escalation that could draw the continent closer to conflict. Both views may hold truth. But what's undeniable is that Poland has become the heartbeat of a new European defense order, the bridge between peace and peril. The echoes of history are loud here. A century ago, Poland was caught between empires. Today, it stands between great powers once again. Only this time, it's armed, determined, and ready to write its own destiny. The question is, will this path secure the peace it seeks, or set the stage for the next great test of Europe's future? If you enjoyed this journey through history and want to stay ahead of how it unfolds, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Your support keeps us exploring the stories that shaped and still shape our world.